Welcome, Baba Hausmann.
Yes.
Thanks for taking the time and join us with our podcast. For our listeners, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Baba Hausmann. Yeah, Baba SEO rather. I describe myself as a revenue-first SEO strategist.
Mm-hmm.
So I help businesses in B2B make more sense of their SEO by just thinking about the bottom line, money, and just referring SEO to that. So like changing the narrative from keywords to revenue, and to make sure that they are really focusing on that thing and nothing else that is not helping that.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, I like to say also that I want to make SEO not so much of a burden and prevent teams when I come in to not be burned out by the intricacies of SEO and the mystery that it can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you do that by yourself or with a team? Or?
I'm a solo consultant. Sometimes I work with some other SEOs that I trust that help me with more like technical, heavy stuff because I understand it, but do not have the time or do not have the context switching capability for that. Otherwise automating a lot of my work, like everyone does that these days, vibe coding, and just making sure that I'm as efficient as possible. That might be my German side.
And what kind of brands do you work for?
B2B. In general, so like right now I have some in fintech, had some SaaS, I have a hardware company, and one is like in cybersecurity training, stuff like this. So depends what comes, but what happens a lot of time, those are brands that are between startups and scale-ups.
Yep.
They already have a marketing team, maybe a CMO, head of growth. They don't have anyone SEO in there, but I'm coming here and just make sure that their content engine is working.
And they have the product market fit already.
Yes, yeah. They do have it. And then they have a good understanding, not necessarily of SEO, but of marketing overall, and just they know SEO is important, but they just don't necessarily know how to sell it and how to make it happen with all the myth that you have over the last 15 years or 20 years of SEO.
And what kind of myth are you talking about right now?
I will not go with the more recent myth. I'll keep the mystery there. If people want to ask me, they can ask me later. But more about simple things like titles and descriptions are important. This is like the more obvious one. But like
the metadata.
Metadata, or things like this. Things that are really are taking a lot of time of people, even though you say like, I'm going to make just 2 seconds with a tool, there's already a lot of context switching, there's a lot of time that is spending on just thinking about it and whether it works, testing and so on, when most of the things are not necessary. And a lot of time when I come in, there's always the question, like I want to do keyword research, what is the best keyword, of course, and they think about keywords rather than audience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of changing completely the narrative from a more technical approach or more like keywords for keywords to thinking about who are you talking to and how you can address them better as a human or as a company rather than just keyword density.
Yeah.
I have still no idea what that is. I mean, that's a myth in my opinion.
Yeah.
But technicals that are not really moving the needle.
So what was for you a little bit the aha moment to switch from the keyword focus, as I think most SEOs are still doing, to the revenue focus, the Rufus prioritization?
So something personal, basically a burnout, triggered by basically like there was different things. I'm not going into detail there, but like of recognition, but also an ask for providing or describing the value of SEO when the understanding was that SEO is just purely checklist, and not being able as a business to really relate SEO to driving leads. So there was already a big gap, and I was not able to provide this information because there was not the capability of the company to understand that and to make it happen. And with a lot of other things, then that led to a burnout, and I me being efficient and perfectionist like every SEO is, I think every good SEO is. No, I'm kidding. Then there's a friction point, and it's just like, well, I cannot do it. So what is the best way then to do less, still enjoying it and having fun doing it? If I want to do less, I need to say no to a lot of things. And in order to say no to a lot of things, I need to have the data and I need to have the expertise, but also the judgment and the critical thinking of saying, well, it's important now, or is it important 2 years or 3 years from now? Right.
Does this change also mean then that you're talking with different people inside the organization with your clients? Or
yes, I do. I always now I'm usually brought in by a fractional CMO. That is the best way I get leads right now. So it's easier. So there's prioritization for me, always coming from one way, and then I need to convince that they work with me. But then I talk to the head of marketing, head of growth when there's one, or a CMO. And I talk also to the digital marketing lead to explain and to get like the information of like paid and organic data. I talk to the content marketer, train them, and do the transition from the old SEO agency to me, but also hiring SEO and then training them and making them have the ownership that they need in order to become more strategic focused. So there's a bit of like, I come in, I'm trying to understand the business, talk to the leadership about the metric that they're already looking at, but from an SEO perspective. Yeah. And then once I'm gone, because I do that on a very short amount of time.
You're like a hired gun coming into the company.
I like to say a fractional SEO. Yeah. Why not? I'm trying to rank on that term. Of course.
We'll put it in the pod description.
Type it a lot. Search it a lot. And then there's a handover part. My goal is to make sure that they don't need me and that they can do amazing SEO, understanding the audience and so on, without me. I wouldn't say without any other SEOs, I think they should, but without a senior SEO coming in. Yeah. So at least they have the basis and they know also why they're doing something a certain direction, not the other direction. Yeah. So why are they looking at, for example, the pain point of a certain audience and so on? Long tail queries, why not? And not I don't know, just adding headings to a blog post because apparently it's good for SEO because a tool, site audit tool said like, oh, it's super important. Yeah. So because you have the business and you have the focus that I think everyone requires to have, especially now because things are getting faster with of course AI and so on. So you have a lot of noise, you have a lot of things coming in. So you need to have even stronger critical thinking. And in order to have stronger critical thinking, you need to know a bit. And so I'm trying to bring those type of knowledge there. It's difficult, but it's I always have like very good good feedback. Yeah. And I love to do it like in a very educational manner, like pedagogue. I had the Dutch term coming. Wow, amazing. Pedagogue. No, okay, I will not say it. And more like approachable, accessible, friendly, and not with like the SEO jargon. Yeah.
But like you prefer to start from the start, if we understand you correctly, like really
I
start with the customer.
So when I start a project, I start with understanding right now how much money you're making, how much MQLs you're bringing, and then I have a MQL prediction model that helps me when I have a SEO strategy, the content we want to create, that helps us know, okay, based on the content we have planned, how close are we to the target, so how close are we to the growth that we're expecting. If they say we want a 28% growth by the end of the year over the next 12 months, by knowing the content we're working on right now, are we just at 10% or at 30%? It's not 100% like perfect science, but at least you get a feel of that. Yeah. So it's like that's the first thing I do. What was your question?
And that is for all the channels then, right?
No, that's purely for SEO.
Oh, purely for SEO. Okay.
So I'm trying really to get a financial, like a monetary number towards the success of SEO. and it's based on the content strategy really.
Yeah.
And how do you calculate a number like this then?
Exactly.
That's a secret sauce now. No, honestly, it's not difficult, and the logic behind it is that you should not look for perfection, but you need to look at different proxy and different metrics you can use, which we know when they're not perfect. But the more you build the model, the clearer they're done.
Yeah.
The starting metric is, or the starting point is basically the content strategy you have. Each content targets one focus keyword and start with a search volume. And based on this, you can forecast the traffic coming from that with CTR. So either use industry CTR or your own Google Search Console CTR to evaluate.
Yeah.
If I say like, oh, this content, we expecting it being top of funnel, like position 6 we're fine, bottom funnel position 1 we're great. It's not about bringing the clicks and so on, because we know with AI overviews there's also things that are unclear, but we take that into also account. So you have the clicks, then you have basically the conversion from sessions to leads. I know clicks and session are different, but this is an approximation I'm okay having right now. We can always improve as we go. And then based on this, you know the number of like MQLs or leads, and then go like this. And then so you do that per content, but then on top of this, you need to add the seasonality of keywords. So we look at the last 2 years of data, do some type of model. I do not know the names because I'm not a statistician. And based on this, we can forecast the search demand, and we see, okay, some content somehow they're more searched in the summer, so we might see a bump there.
Yeah.
So, but it's not about being precise and saying that this content is going to bring that much leads per month. One key element is that when we create content, we have to take into consideration the content maturity element. So a content, when you publish it, it's not mature right away. Right now I put like a 6 to 8 months maturity window. When it's optimized, it's more like 3, 4, 5 months.
Where did you get that 6 to 8 months from?
It's just like it's approximation. And you cannot know that until you start working with the client a bit longer, and then you get a refinement. Okay, what defines a mature content and so on. So, but it's again, we're trying to make forecasts. We're not trying to predict the future. We're just trying to give a direction, because that speaks to the CMO, that speaks potentially to the CFO, and that just makes SEO a bit more serious. Like we're more like at a table of the investment table, and we're just like not just that's just going to bring us traffic, just going to bring us rankings. No, I don't care about this.
But is then the main goal of this forecast to get this conversation started and
to get
make some
investment.
budget? Yeah, exactly.
So,
Okay, so you're not in the end using that forecast to see if you also really
yes, I am.
hit the forecast.
Yes. So there's 3 things. You have the forecast to basically you sell the dream,
Okay.
but you also sell the dream by saying, well, if we don't do anything about it, there's no way
never
we can
gonna
get
make it.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's the cost of inactivity, right?
Exactly. And like to each content we have, there's deadlines. If the deadline is not hit, then the model changes. So the model changes every day, basically, as long as deadlines are not hit.
Yeah.
So you have this. Then I use this data to also help prioritize. Again, ruthless prioritization. That's my keyword. Which is to say before you create the content, you can estimate how many MQLs per month that content could bring at maturity, and that helps say like if my how do you say expectations or like or thoughts are just like comparison content versus a buying content is going to bring more. At least now I have some data that I can use rather than intuition. And then we look a bit more serious towards the leadership. And the last thing is indeed it's not just about looking at forecasts, but it's also looking at actuals. And the difficulty here is that when you start, there's always a baseline. So you need to always look at the baseline of the content. Maybe you have some of the content that were already bringing MQLs and you optimized, but then that change or anything.
And if there's
But-
no baseline, if a company just has product market fit, didn't have time to start any proper channels yet, they just know it works.
But then you
will be
start
so.
from zero, basically. Like so like I think it's easier in this case. But it's easier to show a forecast and to show the actuals versus forecast. It's more difficult when you have a baseline because you don't necessarily know precisely if it's coming because of your efforts on a specific content, site-wide, or from some other activities that you have.
Yep.
But those are things that for me are... It's good to ask the question, it's good to look at it, but I should not spend too much time thinking, hey, is the actual and the forecast exactly like precise? It's like if it's working and I don't know, there's a 10% forecast versus actual, I was like, I'm happy, but it's not going to be changing my life. My goal is just to make sure that eventually we're closer to the target as possible. That's why every time I have a forecast, I would have it much higher than what the targets show, because we always know creating content is not enough. You have to have internal links, you have potentially backlinks, you have different activities, things that are absolutely not out of, in your control, reviews showing up and so on, competition. So like there's no, like, it's okay for it, for me it's okay for it not to be too precise. But it's just, we're trying to tell a story and we're trying to say that we mean business.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you would put it higher, as I think most people would rather put it lower as a conservative
and
way.
play it safe.
And play it safe, so they know indeed, like, okay, if we hit the target or even slightly above it, we can do some extra high five, open a couple of bottles of champagne.
Because what we're trying to do is you're showing a direction in order to get an investment.
Yep.
You're not, for me, like, if I aim too low, that means the investment that is provided to me is going to be low.
Okay.
So, or at least the business I work with, they're driven by investors and so on, and they want to see growth. They don't want to see like, oh, we're just doing enough. So yes, we're selling a bit more, but back to bad data.
Yeah, exactly. And just what you said, they want to see growth. So in the end, I think that is a question that at least but I also think our listeners have at the moment.
Yeah.
How do you really then calculate and match the revenue with the organic clicks?
I mean, it depends if the... Shit, it depends.
This is the first one, I think.
I told myself I wouldn't say it, but it slipped. So a company needs to have that information in their attribution model, like an attribution, sorry. They might have the lead value, they might have the
but isn't attribution becoming more and more difficult? Because especially if companies are also doing paid, I know paid people always like to take all attribution for themselves. So how do you then make sure that it's being back attributed to you?
So I'm not an attribution specialist. That's not my job. I do not know enough for this. But my goal is to make sure that if there's a problem, I'm able to surface it.
Yeah.
And if I see like there's lesser, like we're doing a lot, we're creating a lot of content. We know it brings different things like clicks. We see a lot of signal along the way, but then the attribution is gone. Is there a problem in the funnel, or is there a problem in the attribution?
Yeah.
And my role is just to make sure that the problem that we see is not on us SEO, but it's where the bottleneck is.
And then when you see this, you fall back to one of your expertises in your network, and you ask them maybe to help fix the attribution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But first you have to highlight the problem. Like if your problem is, usually it's the content bottleneck issue, that's my problem. We need to fix it. But when this is solved, at some point there's a problem. And if the problem is not big enough, no one cares about it.
Yeah.
So my goal is to move the goalposts to where the problem is. And I'm no attribution expert, again. There are people that are very talented on this. They know better than me. I have no idea what is the best attribution model. That's also ruthless participation for me because I don't have space for that.
You just flag when something is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the experts handle it.
And I think being French also helps in flagging things that are wrong. And then otherwise I go on strike.
And I think it's also a good example of ruthless prioritization again here. Yeah. You are very skilled at showing like there is something wrong. We need to do something about it. Yeah. But I'm not the expert who can do this. So indeed, I will go on strike unless you finish it.
That's figuratively. But no, indeed, I'm not an expert at everything. I know SEO. I'm passionate about SEO and so on. And it's a lot more like I don't want to take the hat of other people because they're very talented, and I don't want to make assumptions and being feel like put in a corner which I don't know a shit about.
Yeah.
So my role is to make sure to highlight the problem and make sure that it's substantiated by data that I can use and I can defend. And then for someone else to fix it. And if they need more information, I know I can pull that data pretty easily. I don't have to look into my boxes and trying to pull something that I'm not completely sure about.
Yeah, I think the interesting part here is as well is just what you said. You are highlighting a problem, and you are also starting from really the start of that whole customer journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the customer. But then you will also automatically, I guess, see that not only the organic channel will increase in a positive kind of way, but also the other channels.
Yeah.
So that was also why I was wondering, like, are you really sticking to only the organic results, or are you looking broader to the other channels?
At this time, purely on SEO and a bit of direct and branded overall. But I personally do not have any personal interest into paid and so on. I do not understand it too much. I think I could, if I want, I could. But
good SEO has also a good impact on paid.
Sure. And there's conversations, and there's also different things different data point you can use and so on. I haven't dug into that too much. I know it has more impact, but I prefer to focus. Actually, that was to a question you had earlier.
Yeah.
Of the looking before at the audience, the pain points and so on, and maybe use data from paid or from whatever other channels, and use that for my own benefit, which is SEO. But then what is important indeed is to keep the communication happening within a team, and that's why usually the teams I work with are very small, and I make sure that I'm friendly enough, let's say, to get that information and just and find solutions together.
Yeah,
I think it's also a lot easier to make that impact. I think in a smaller team, because if you need to try to steer the ship in a Unilever or a Nestle,
that is a bit difficult. But if I have to say one thing is that I'm aware I'm not great at that part. But right now I'm okay not being great at it because I know that I enjoy so much SEO that I know I can contribute a lot with a lot of data that we're using and other people are not. A simple example, I think no one else looks at Google Search Console like SEOs, and sometimes some people are looking at it, but there's ton of information there that can be used, and I stick to this.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. Hey, I have so many questions for you left, but unfortunately we are already at the end of this episode.
Absolutely.
So we have to round this up.
Yep.
But thank you so much for being this open as well.
Sure.
We do have one final question for you.
Yeah, definitely we have. Yeah.
I'm scared.
You should. You should. The question is that we ask all our guests, by the way. What is the biggest SEO fuck up that you made?
Should have prepared. Damn it. The biggest SEO fuck up I've made was very recently going into an analysis saying there's something changing or a new narrative of it, so it's commodity versus non-commodity content to clients, and I've seen data and so on, and I was steering, okay, well, we need more non-commodity. But my biggest fuck up has been to present that data and being a bit too Dutch direct into it.
Okay.
Saying something like your top product pages, an intern with a good ChatGPT prompt could rewrite it. And this is a fuck up because it's communication that I'm good at and a bit more careful with. Yeah. But I think I was more into the data focus, like very square.
Yeah.
And I just went for it. It felt great when I said it, but when a client talked to me, I was like, yeah, that was not the point. You had a mini heart attack. I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted to. But then there was a misunderstanding of everything we've done before. Now you're saying something completely different. I was not being able to sell the continuity that I have. In my mind, it's clear. But it's in my mind, and putting it into words is a bit more complex. So I haven't solved that situation yet. I've thought about it since ever, and all the time at Brighton. not all the time, but almost. And it's just something that I'm just trying to. But like communication there is usually the biggest fuck up that can happen.
Yeah. So the learning out of this, even though this is still not really working.
But there's
yet,
a great
of
learning.
course,
Yeah. It's communication,
Yeah.
and it's not about being careful, but it's being able to defend what you're saying, and also be a bit more diplomatic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you so much.
No problem.
Thank
so
you very much
It was
for
nice.
being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Now let's
And
have a beer.
have a
Sorry.
lovely day. Yeah. That as well.
Too soon? Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.